So it's the next morning and I'm back to working on the blower from hell, and I was gonna just see from sitting overnight whether or not anything would be different and go to try and start it. And when I went to start it, I noticed the primer bulb was empty, no fuel in it. And I noticed that as I was pressing it, I wasn't getting any fuel. I looked in the tank, I could see the in-tank fuel filter was covered with fuel. It was under the fuel, under the level of the fuel. I even tried tilting the tank to submerge it completely, and it wasn't drawing any fuel up. So I started to think, oh, I wonder if I've got a problem with the line in the tank. Goes over to that fuel filter. Then I also decided, just for the heck of it, to drain the tank. And when I looked at this fuel, it doesn't look too bad. I didn't think I had mixed this fuel up that long ago. But when I hold it up to the sunlight, I can see what looks like water particles in suspension. And it seems like quite a bit of it. So I think this has fuel stabilizer in it. And I think what's happening is, I was thinking that, maybe it's latched on to any water molecules in there and is keeping them in suspension. But long story short is, I'm not thrilled with this fuel, so I'm going to mix up some fresh two-stroke mix. But now that I get the tank empty, what I want to do is, I want to take this unit out again, and I want to pull that plug on the top so that I can pull out that in-tank filter and line. According to the manual, it looks like you just pry up underneath this tab to pop this thing out. What the hell's this other line? Almost looks like there's a secondary line that runs over. I wonder if there's another fuel filter that sits down this end. So how the hell are you supposed to get that out? Alright, I guess if I take this line off of here, push this line back down in the tank, that'll give me enough room to get this other filter out. There we go. Now, well, now what? Now I gotta get this line back out. There we go. Okay. Get this line back out. Come on. There you go. There's the whole mess. This actually seems fine. Alright. There's nothing wrong with that line. The rubber feels good. It's not all squishy like it's collapsing on itself. And there's no breaks in it, and it's not cracked. So that's okay. I think I have a blocked muffler. Feels like I was able to get 2 of the 3 loose. The reason why I think I've got a blocked muffler is because I don't hear or feel anything coming out of here when it's running. And when it shuts down, it almost just seems like you can hear like pressure in here just squeeze out, like leak out. Psst. And I know that there was carbon in here. I could hear it when I had the whole block out and I was turning it over. And the reason why I hadn't taken this off previously was because I couldn't get these torque screws out. Turns out these are T27, and I think I had a T25 driver that I was trying to use. Now I've got a T27 driver, a good one, a Weehaw, and I was able to get these 2 out, but this one's camming out. I'd love to know what the trick is to get these out when they are stripped, because, you know, down in this recessed hole. Now I'm trying to actually tighten it, because it's not slipping that way. Maybe I can actually get it to turn tighter to break free and then unscrew. Alright, here's what I figure now. I figure if I can grind the head off of this screw, get the muffler off, then I can put vice grips on here, remove that screw, and I'll just have to replace the screw. So if I put my mouth right over this and blow, nothing is coming through. So there's probably a screen right behind here that's clogged. And I know I had a problem with these 2 screws not wanting to come out before, so that's why I haven't taken this off yet. What's funny is that smoke was clearly coming out of this when I first started it the other night. The only thing I could figure is that soot and stuff that was already in here that I hadn't cleaned out was blown into there and wedged in there or something. I don't know. I could see the screen down in here is completely clogged. I got to figure out a way to get this off. Well, I'll tell you, I didn't think I was going to really get these screws out. I was having such difficulty with them before, but turns out when the muffler's off and you can put it on the bench and you can just hold it and put a lot more, you know, force onto it, I was able to get it. It ended up being T20 Torx, and it's funny, you know, this is my SK T20 Torx. I couldn't get it with this one; it was slipping, and then this one, the Craftsman, was able to get it to bite. One of them came out a lot easier than the other one. So now for the big moment of truth. Wow, that is just completely blocked. So let me show you how blocked this is. It's a pretty bright light I got going right there, and you can see how little of it's making its way through. Alright, it took a whole lot of knocking, but I finally got to the point where I don't hear any more flakes of carbon coming out of this muffler. Well, let me clean this screen. Let's try some. Oh, I thought this was carb cleaner. It's starting fluid. I don't know how it is for dissolving carbon, but I'm going to go with acetone. I'm going to bring this outside so I don't have to smell it. I'm going to let it soak while I have my lunch. So I soaked this in acetone, and then I took it out. I brushed it lightly, and then I blasted it with the hottest water I could get out of my faucet.
Hot water actually dissolves carbon pretty decent. Hot water dissolves carbon pretty decent. That isn't even proper English. Hot water does a fairly good job at dissolving carbon deposits. That's what I meant to say. Quite a difference, right? Now, if you guys are like me, you probably have a whole lot of metric screws laying around at your disposal. But why use those when I can just reuse these horrible ones? No, seriously though, I don't have any metric screws, so I'm not tightening these very tight, so they'll be easy to take out. And when I get a chance to go to the hardware store, I'll find some metric screws to replace these, and also I'm going to have to find some metric screws to replace these. So what I'm going to do for the time being, and as far as these go, since these mount it, I'm going to remove the broken stud, hopefully successfully, and then I'm going to use these two screws that I was able to remove in these two locations and leave this one out for now. And again, this is just to see if this thing's going to run.
All right, let's see how good my luck is regarding this screw. Oh, that's hilarious. What's hilarious is that that's finger tight. It's loose completely. So that means that the shaft of the screw must have been seized in the muffler. The head popped out. All right, we're golden. Yes, I'm going to reuse this gasket. Why? Because I don't have a new one. That's why. I'm going to pre-install these screws to keep the gasket in position.
You get it running?
Huh?
You get it running?
I'll find out. Something was wrong. Couldn't figure out what it was. Turns out the muffler was completely clogged with soot. So it was as if somebody was holding their hand over this outlet. I can't believe how easily these other screws have stripped out on this thing, so I'm going to have to figure out something for that. Two of them before were tightening, and now they won't. I think it's called like a plastiform screw. It's a special type of screw that when it's first installed at the factory, it creates the threads, and then supposedly can be removed and reinstalled several times, but the key is that you have to torque them to the spec. If you over tighten them, they will just tear out the thread that they created in the soft aluminum. I mean, I'm guilty of not torquing these, but I think these were already in trouble before I even took this thing apart, so probably the previous person who was working on it trying to get something going with it. So it's cold now, so choke on. All right, that already seems better. I'm going to reset those mixture screws to their start positions. All right, reset these back to their basic setting, which is the high speed one, 3.5 turns, and the low speed one, 2 turns from fully seated. And now I can see, the lighting's a little better today. There's an H and an L right there that I couldn't see yesterday for whatever reason. Alright, probably should have brought something to adjust that idle. I did turn that idle in kind of far. I'm going to back that out just a little bit. Let's see what happens here. Where the throttle like locks in the high position. Now I'm making some progress.